All new at 9:30. You trust healthcare workers with your life, but can you really be sure of their bedside manner when they're not forthcoming about their past?
They don't want to lose their livelihood, they don't want to lose their license, and the last thing that they're going to do is report themselves.
Patients who say self-reporting by healthcare workers accused of wrongdoing doesn't work. A Fox 31 Problem Solvers investigation follows 3 recent cases.
Patients at risk from the very people we entrust with our help. If you ever wonder whether Colorado does enough to protect patients from bad healthcare workers, in light of recent arrests, so did we.
Fox 31 Denver investigative reporter Rob Lowe has more on a system that often relies on self-reporting. He joins us now with a Problem Solvers investigation.
The Department of Regulatory Agencies requires healthcare workers to self-report convictions and terminations. That didn't happen in the case of the surgical tech fired by Swedish Medical Center, accused of switching out needles to satisfy a drug habit. But Rocky Allen's arrest isn't the only one the Fox 31 Problem Solvers uncovered, where the honor system may not be enough to protect patients. Federal investigators say Rocky Allen lied on his resume repeatedly. Swedish Medical Center hired the surgical tech not knowing he had been fired from 2 hospitals in Arizona, one in California, another in Washington, and court-martialed by the military for stealing drugs while deployed in Afghanistan.
I feel that they are not protecting us as patients who go in there.
This woman, whose identity the Problem Solvers is protecting, is one of nearly 3,000 patients being tested by Swedish Medical Center for possible hepatitis and HIV infection in light of Rocky Allen's arrest. When the surgical tech registered in Colorado, he was supposed to self-report his history of terminations, but did not.
I mean, obviously, you look at all those hospitals, all the incidences in the past, obviously, the people are not reporting.
Former nurse Thomas Moore is another healthcare worker who's been fired multiple times, but it's not clear he ever self-reported criminal convictions, as Colorado law requires. In 2011, he was convicted of a DUI and child abuse. Failure to report those convictions is why Alaska denied his license in 2014, after that state performed a background check. But Colorado now won't say if Moore self-reported here, because he's under multiple investigations.
Thomas Moore started working here in July.
We first reported on Thomas Moore in January, when Fort Collins police arrested him after a patient at Poudre Valley Hospital accused him of fondling her after he drugged her with morphine. Fort Collins police now has 3 possible victims, Greeley police has 5, and Scottsbluff, Nebraska has 3. Moore worked in Nebraska until complaints got him fired in March of 2015. Similar allegations at this hospital in Fort Collins and this one in Greeley got him fired by the University of Colorado Health in June of 2015, which immediately reported Moore to the state nursing board. But that didn't get Moore's license suspended. Instead, he was hired in July for a new job at this Thornton Hospital without mentioning his prior terminations. But North Suburban Medical Center let him go after Fort Collins police arrested Moore. Dorr finally suspended his license in January, 7 months after it received a complaint.
With Thomas Moore, it's so disturbing to me. I was in a number of those facilities that he worked in during the time that he was there. It could have been me.
This woman asked the Problem Solvers to protect her identity because she made an anonymous complaint to Colorado's Department of Regulatory Agencies, better known as DORA, about a different healthcare worker, Greeley optometrist Teresa Beer.
She had a long history of alcohol issues.
Teresa Beer's DUI arrest began in 1996. She had 2 more in 2008, and then in 2015 had 5 more alcohol-related arrests. State documents suggest she never self-reported.
They don't want to lose their livelihood, they don't want to lose their license, and the last thing that they're going to do is report themselves.
4 months after Dora received a complaint about Dr. Beer, it took action, not to suspend her license, but to place her practice under supervised probation. But when she didn't sign that probation agreement, then her license was suspended. But the eye doctor kept seeing patients anyway.
I called and there was people making appointments for her. I couldn't believe it.
In fact, we made our own appointment, hoping to confront Dr. Beer. But 2 days before we could show up, she was thrown in the Weld County Jail. Turns out she felt a breathalyzer while free in a work release program for a recent DUI conviction. Do you feel betrayed by her?
A little bit. A little bit.
Debbie Leach was Dr. Beer's secretary. who had no idea she was booking patients in violation of a state suspension order. Now she's cleaning out the office.
What was your reaction when you learned that Teresa was still seeing patients when she wasn't supposed to be?
I was a little angry because I don't want myself to be implicated.
It's not the honor system, as I've heard it called before.
Lauren Larson is the Director of Professions and Occupations at DORA. She insists self-reporting usually works.
There's a huge sanction for lying on your application or misrepresenting information. That person can lose their license, their ability to work.
But if Teresa Beer, Thomas More, and Rocky Allen all knew being honest to begin with could jeopardize employment, lying appeared to be worth the risk. In DORA's defense, it can only enforce rules set by the legislature. So the Fox 31 problem solvers reached out to lawmakers who are working on a measure for self-reporting of surgical techs. We'll follow up to let you know what happens. Anonymous complaints about healthcare providers can be made online. Find this story on our homepage, KDVR.com, and we'll provide you a link. Rob Lowe, Fox 31 Denver.